up, guys? Tambo here with your weekly core report. It was an amazing week last week, loaded with winners across multiple sports. Here are some of the highlights. We kick off things in the college football streets where our members have been crushing. Phil Mix Bra hit for $1,500, while Freddie 11 won $3,400. In MMA, 57 Lions had a nice ROI, turning $100 into over $1,000. And Agency Arms LLC hit for $2.9K in NHL. Just a reminder, our memberships include all sports for one price. World Cup kicks off next week too, and we'll have a ton of content to help you ship. So sign up today and let's start running pure. In the NFL, RPS ran the leaderboards once again. I landed my 5th King of the Beach ticket. D. Bailey 2106 hit for $5K. J. Rex 777 won $38K. And D. Kafer shipped a 3rd live final seat. Our biggest sport last week was the NBA, where our members shipped left and right. Our NBA content has been on fire, and you can catch our daily shows for free by subscribing to our YouTube channel right now. ROI was strong in NBA last week too. Connor turned $28 into $1,700 using K-Falix Core. Chunky Blue turned $14 into $1,700. Junior turned $64 into $1,800. Chargers 0616 hit for $2K, while Brandon 2323 won over $10K. Our coordinators joined in as well, with Bobby Hare winning $14K. Mangone hit for $16K, while K-Falix shipped for $44,000. Congrats again to all our members. If you want to be featured in our weekly core report, drop your winning lineup in our Members Never Win channel in our premium Discord. If you're not a member, join now. You won't find a better value with all sports included for one low price. And while you're watching, hit that like button now. Remember, if you're not winning with us, you're watching us win. Until next time, let's keep running pure. What's up, everyone? Tyler Tamboline here, aka Toe Tag and Tambo. We're back. I'm in special edition. My guy JT Hayes is out. I'm back here hosting the Monday Night Football Showdown show. Got my guys, Big T, Mr. Randone, C-Dome in the building. So it's going to be a good show. We know that. Hit that like button on the way in. If you haven't already, let's get this thing rocking. Big T, Monday Night Football, Mexico. We've got Arizona, San Francisco. What's up, man? How are you?
I mean, it feels good to be on here, too. I've really enjoyed doing these shows with C-Dome the last 2-3 weeks. I thought he brings some great insight. I love the angle that he attacks these slates from. So it's been really fun to attack this year with a guy like C-Dome. But now we get my man Tambo, who just continues to crush. Nothing against JT Hayes. We all know I love JT Hayes. Every week I look forward to the show with him, enjoy doing shows. But we can't have a hotter, maybe Locks. Our boy Locks is pretty hot, but no one else is hotter in the industry than my man Tambo, locking up 2 seats to King of the Beach yesterday, continues to freaking crush. So you're telling me I get to do a Monday showdown show while I'm watching the World Cup with freaking C-Dome, who's been a legend, and the hottest dude in the industry, Tambo? I mean, what better? I mean, we got to enjoy these days, right, C-Dome? I mean, people are out there working real jobs. We're sitting here doing this crap. I'm excited.
C-Dome, I'll let you speak for yourself. You come on in. Thanks, Big T. I'll take it on this fine Monday morning. I thought I was going over, so to get
Monday morning.
Very happy. Well, that's what C-Dome introduced us as. But well, he said good morning. I said, I think it's afternoon, even where you are, but I can tell how good your night was. C-Dome, what's up, man? How you doing?
Yeah, no, the Monday scaries. Big T just woke me up just now. Went out yesterday, had myself a night. Here we are. It's Monday. Ready to dive into this slate. Congrats on the 2 tickets. I think that's awesome, man. Way to represent. I foresee something big happening for you at King of the Beach, so we definitely got to be rooting for you there. And yeah, yesterday the slate was rough as hell, man. And now I have to also send over Big T $100. Lost the Paris Campbell bet. He came in at like 15% ownership. Don't matter. He's guy's trash anyway. So it's just another layer to my Monday. So ready to break down this slate, though. I'm super excited. Might be a one-way road tonight in this matchup. So I'm excited to talk about it with you guys.
Yeah, it's going to be a good one. And we got some news early on, the Kyler situation. We got everything sort of worked out in our favor so we can really go through it all and discuss it. There's some off the board plays. There might even be a athletic tight end that C-Dome wants to talk about later when we get into that spot. But Big T, I'll go back to you. It's also a very special day because we're going to save it. I got a little 3-minute spiel. We don't do ads on this channel or anything, but we have a special promo code for Black Friday week that I'm going to let the people know about. I know you get blown up daily in the DMs. You get people asking you, where do I sign up? How's the code? What do you guys got going on? Run Pure has a very special deal this week. So we'll get into that in a little bit, but let's dive in. Big T, what's your first thoughts on this slate, this game, how you see it going? Neutral ground here in Mexico. So what are your thoughts on this game leading in?
Yeah, I mean, I'm excited because I didn't even know we had a promo code, so I can't wait to hear what it is myself here for the people. I'm
You'll
excited
like it.
for that.
I got a special promo too. I'm going to read it right off. So it's going to be good.
That. But as far as the game, I mean, I always love these Niner slates. We've played every showdown. Obviously, last week was a little weird where CMC McCaffrey got about half the work, it felt like, maybe even a little less than half as the game went. But I always like these San Francisco slates. And I keep saying it. We haven't had a blowout in showdown. I literally can't remember the last one. All these like onslaught spots have kind of worked the opposite way the last 2-3 weeks. Maybe I'm missing one, but off the top of my head, it feels like every game has been somewhat close. And most of them, the underdogs have been doing better than the favorites as far as constructions. Again, I'm not the smartest with the spreadsheets and stuff. Maybe someone thinks I'm wrong with that, but in my head, that's how it's gone. And tonight definitely looks like a blowout spot to me. I think Arizona is very bad. I think San Fran is very underrated. I think they're the best team in the NFC. So it looks like a blowout to me, but it just hasn't happened. So I'm not sure what to do, but I'm going to jam it in there and kind of see what else we got to offer with you guys. But I think there's some value the other way, which I can't remember if Tambo said it on the show or before the show, but there's some value on that Arizona side that really makes this slate nice, in my opinion. So I'm excited for it.
Yeah, and I agree. And Rendon, I'll come to you in a second here, same question. But just the thought you mentioned there, Big T, that's the interesting part. Even if you see it as a blowout for the San Francisco side in this game, which looks like it on paper, that doesn't mean everyone always thinks, okay, 5-1, got to do it. Now, go 5-1 tonight with some of your lineups because that's going to be less popular. And the reason it is because we have all the value on the Arizona side, at least options that are very affordable, which makes it so that they can fit in and make your build have a few upgrades with actual wide receiver ones, starting players, guys that are good versus having to punt it off. So 4-2s, 3-3s actually can work on this slate, even in a higher scoring blowout or something like that. Rendon, I'll bring you in same question just before
before you go to him. It's interesting because the dude in the chat says that I don't know who's watched that Hard Knocks, but I've obviously watched it. Arizona, it was hilarious watching some of the tape. The players were legitimately like stunned that Colt McCoy knew how to read a defense because they're used to playing with Kyler. I was dying laughing watching it because Colt McCoy is better as far as being smart. Like he's a smarter quarterback. He's a veteran. Obviously he's not as talented, but he is a better like mental quarterback. It was hilarious to watch it though.
Yeah, some guys just have it all. The raw talent, the looks, that's Rendon, right? When he goes out to the club like last night, it just can't help it. It's what he does.
It's like Tambo in the DFS streets, just raw talent, C-Dome in the club, just raw talent, just he has to push them off.
Yeah, raw something maybe. That's a story for another time. Rendon, talk to me about this slate, this overview. We got to get back on track, talk football here, guys. Rendon, talk to me about what you see. We tried to lay it out a little bit there, but you might have other thoughts. What do you see here in this game? Neutral ground, like we talked about, everything with the injuries, all of that combined. What do you got?
Yeah, first off, is this a behind the paywall or is this for the public?
All free, baby.
Yeah. So we're gonna have to, keep
Thursdays is the paywall. The Mondays is the raw Mondays we can call it.
Raw Dog Monday. We got it. Yeah.
No, I love that. Yeah, I think tonight you just mentioned injuries. This is like one of the first times we've seen 49ers kind of really healthy. Usually we see a lot of Q tags. They're guys are out. This is like one of the first times this season we're gonna see a very healthy squad. And on the other side, Cardinals are getting depleted by the day. And as you've seen, Kyle Murray's obviously out now. And Hopkins questionable. Don't know if he might play. But the thing is, this is also, we got to take into consideration, which I don't think many people are. It's an interesting slate because it is in Mexico City, right? And I don't know if you guys know this, but like the elevation is, 7,400 feet. It's 2,000, 2,500 feet higher than Mile High. So, tonight's going to be, as far as the workload is concerned, I'm curious to dive in with you guys also to talk about the stamina of the players. And does that open up more opportunities and more split chances for guys like Elijah Mitchell, right? Who, obviously his first game back or second game back, he went off as far as the volume in regards to production. So, and then also Katavius Ingram, speedster, right? Backup, Benjamin's now out of the mix. I'm sure we're going to talk about him as well. I think, we could see a thing tonight where, the heavy workloads just might not be there, especially if it's a blowout. And if it's a blowout, that's another consideration to talk about because maybe these guys actually don't play much that we're used to seeing. So it is an interesting slate, from a lot of different angles. I think tonight, the way I'm going to look at it is a lot different than I have maybe the last two showdown slates. We kind of got burned, Philadelphia, Washington. It definitely was one of those games where we thought Philadelphia at home, superior team. It was going to be a blowout, complete opposite, right? They took the L.
They got
first half of the
dominated
season.
too.
They got dominated, couldn't stop the run. And we were completely, just, it didn't go the game theory that we really thought. So, and Big T talks about, we haven't seen the blowout as far as the favorite side, but I got to tell you, man, like this got to be the night where like they just dominate. I just don't, especially with McCoy in the back and behind center. I just don't see a scenario where these 49ers just don't go in healthy, fully loaded. They've gotten better, fully stacked on offense. Garoppolo, all he has to do is just manage the game. So many playmakers. Yeah, I'm really curious to see what we feel like is the optimal plays tonight.
Yeah, we always work through it and find our way. That's why I love doing these shows. As Big T always says, I agree with him. That's the part of it. Here's the interesting thing, Big T, hopping right into it, the captain slot. Well, we just said it, right? Altitude. Someone joked in the chat, McCaffrey sleeps in an altitude chamber from what I hear. It wouldn't surprise me if that was actually real news. But all I'm saying is, like Randone said last week, Eli Mitchell, no one knew what to do with him. $200 coming back first game. No one had any idea. We took shares because what if? But then he ended up getting all those carries. Here's a spot where you could see it again. And even though the price and DraftKings took notice, putting him up to, I believe, 5,800 now versus Christian McCaffrey's 11,400, you still have to take that into consideration. Maybe it's not enough of a boost. And what if they are using him just as much, if not the same as last week? And the angle I would say with that leading into the captain thoughts is I'm seeing 20% McCaffrey captain right out of the gate. And we know why, because of what he's capable of, what we've seen from him in the past. But what are your thoughts on McCaffrey to start things out of the captain conversation, Big T? Because it's a lot of money, 17-1 up top, 20% owned with the potential to split the workload again.
Yeah, so everyone's seen it similar to what we were talking about, where it was prime time. Everyone was waiting to see what they do with Mitchell and McCaffrey for that matter, because he's only played, 3 games now or two? Two
or three. Yeah,
games.
I can't remember exactly, but yeah.
Yeah, the first one was really a short week, and then I think 2 games after that. And we really haven't seen a full spot where they gave him a ton of workload yet. And everyone's going to be a little questionable about it. But the one thing I will say, man, you look at captains, and I always, whenever I want to go, like last night, for example, when you have clear studs, you got the 2 quarterbacks last night and the 2 studs, Kelsey and Eckler, 4 clear studs makes you want to play a cheaper captain to get all 4 of those if possible. Games like tonight, I don't need a lot of, look at the spend ups. Hop, Jimmy G, Connor, Colt, Debo, Ayuk, all these guys, they're okay. I'm not saying I wouldn't mind them, but I don't need them. It's not like Mahomes, Herbert, Eckler, Kelsey. Like, you need those guys. When those teams play, for a fact 2 or 3 of those guys are in the winner, like without a doubt. Tonight, it's a lot more questionable, which in the captain spot, this is going to sound crazy, but I think he might be under-owned in the captain, especially after what we've seen. If he's 20 to 30%, which I think he will be in the captain, and I think he'll be 80, 90% overall, I think it might be under. I just don't see other captains. I really don't. If you think this game blows out, I can't use Jimmy G. I don't want an Arizona guy because I think they get blown out. I mean, Debo is going to have a backseat a little bit to McCaffrey. I could make a case for Debo, though, just because I don't think hardly anyone's going to want to use him there either. Passing game, they're not going to throw as much if they're blowing them out. So with my script, really the only path for captains I see is McCaffrey, Debo, maybe even Elijah Mitchell, because if he got similar workload to last week, he could end up an optimal captain. And then I don't even know, maybe the defense or something if we really think they get him going. But I don't see that many captains, which makes me think McCaffrey might just be a jam. I haven't done this all year, I don't think. I'm pretty sure I haven't. Any showdown. Maybe I'm wrong, but it hasn't been many if I have. It might just be full jam and try to figure it out for me elsewhere.
Well, I don't think I've done this all year, and that's try and talk you out of something. And that's definitely not what I would do tonight. But I think it's for two perspectives. You make some good points. I'm not against you on it. I'm playing him. I'm saying my thought is this. We have Keontae Ingram, Trey McBride. We have a bunch of cheapies that can make that work very easily. That's the case for it. Makes it work no problem. But if you get down there, you could have plenty of other ways they get there. You could have a Kittle 2-touchdown game early on, and then they just run it out between the two other running backs. So you still have them in the flex. Arizona gets crushed by the tight end. You could have Jimmy G throw a couple touchdowns around, a Debo one, a Kittle one, and a Ayuk one. He's got 3 touchdowns, and then they run it out. And then maybe they just don't use McCaffrey as much. So I would prefer, if you're doing that Big T, to see something like 60%. You're still 3x the field. You could spread out your 40% between 2 or 3 other guys. You've got good coverage on the field that way. And I think that's an interesting way to do it. So I'm not against your thought process, understand it fully. Just saying I would leave outs because I do see scenarios, unlike you, where there is a possibility that it's not just him up there and he doesn't do quite enough and ends up in the flex instead. I'll let you go first before I go over to Rando. Anything to add to that just on my thoughts, but I think that's definitely possible.
No, yeah, I mean, I agree, and you can leave yourself out. And one thing I like to do, like say I was going to full jam, like just say I built 150 McCaffrey captains. I like to go to the very bottom of my 150 and look at the teams. And if they look way too like thin in that range, that's when I add which always ends up happening. They're almost always going to be too thin. And then you'll add more captains. But if I get to the bottom and it's like I don't know an example, but if I like the teams at the bottom, then I'm more comfortable with it. Usually it is too thin though. So you're probably right. It's probably like golf where you're just burning teams almost for no reason by doing that. So
well, yeah, that was going to be my point is that you for example, it all works in your favor. You're 100% dead right with the game script, but then somehow Eli Mitchell ends up the optimal captain from the last quarter where he gets a couple extra runs or jams one in like he almost did last week in that same game at $200. He almost jammed one at the end. He slipped. So that would be where it's like you said, oh, I got 150. I could have easily had 125 with 25. I'm up in your percentage now, but just giving you an example. So I do like that. If you guys are just joining us, do us a favor on the way in, smash that like button, hit that thumbs up. We got 81 likes so far, over 300 watching. Hit that like button. It helps us out. Randone, I'll let you go ahead and talk about the captains as well, starting with CMC. We just talked through it a little bit, but talk there and then maybe some other alternatives if you see them.
Yeah, I think, it's easy to just go right ahead and say, you know what, I could jam CMC tonight. And, obviously I don't mind playing Elijah Mitchell in that type of format either, given the fact that, this team might get out early and then, just end this game and we're done with Mexico City and be done with that. McCaffrey's price though, and kind of where he's at right now, from what I'm seeing, he does actually provide somewhat positive leverage, believe it or not. There's only quite a few people that do provide positive leverage in the captain spot tonight, and he's one of them. But I will say his teammate, I think Jimmy G is a very interesting guy to look at tonight for consideration in the captain spot. And I know people might think, well, if he's not throwing enough, 28 passes, 25 passes, the last 2 games. But I will say this, this reminds me of the night of the Saints game against the Cardinals. And Andy Dalton, even though he gave up, 2 defensive scores, he went off, and throwing. And the reason why I'm looking at it like this is because they have so many weapons tonight. And it could be a night where if let's just say the ground game isn't going to what we think, and it ends up Jimmy G being, passes to McCaffrey in the end zone and things like that. there's a lot of ways tonight where this passing defense is not good of Arizona. And if he's moving the ball around, right? And if we're seeing different guys like Ayuk and Kittle all get pieces of the pie, Jimmy G actually does provide a lot of upside too in regards to leverage and what we're seeing in the captain ownership. So I do like him. And I don't mind it whatsoever. Two other guys I probably would highly consider. If I'm thinking the passing game, I'm thinking Ayuk and I'm thinking Kittle. Tight ends have really smashed Arizona this year. You look at what they've done, especially in the last few games. They've gotten in the end zone. A lot of volume goes to the tight ends. There's clear breakdowns if you look at the games over the middle to these tight ends, and that's opportunity there. I mean, Kittle, if he's not blocking and they allow him to run routes, which is probably the biggest skepticism right now for us, is because, you look at that Chargers game, he only got 2 targets, caught 1 ball. That's probably something that's going to be fearful for a lot of people. But I will say Big T can attest to this because he's won showdowns with Kittle in the MVP in the captain spot. If it's a Kittle night where he does get like those 10 targets for 83 yards and gets into the box, then all of a sudden he becomes huge upside compared to what we're seeing right now. I think he might be looking at like 4% projected ownership in the captain spot. And I mean, for that, if he ends up having a smash spot game, which it is a position of where they struggle, could bring a lot of upside. So I don't think I'm going to go on the Arizona side whatsoever for captain tonight. I just don't see the actual upside in comparison to what I see on the San Francisco side. And I just don't think tonight is a night that, anyone from Arizona is going to really be optimal. So I don't also mind 49ers defense in the captain spot as well. But I also don't mind playing a very low owned tonight Arizona Cardinals defense in the flex, given that, Garoppolo is prone to be able to turn it over. And I wouldn't doubt we see something like what we saw with Andy Dalton being in that winning lineup, but also playing opposed to the Cardinals defense that night.
Yeah. I'll let you chime in, Big T, just because you have been right on Kittle a lot. And it's usually what you say is not in a blowout. So at least we know that part of it. But the interesting dynamic is now they have a few more weapons with now Debo, with adding CMC, with adding these other spots. And then on top of it it's a team that it's a good matchup for him to go up against. So really just want to get your thoughts on him. And then you can add anything else that you want to based on Randone.
I mean, first of all, you had me dying in the chat because I was waiting for Randone.
Well, what happened? I didn't see it.
Huh?
What happened in the chat?
I mean, our boy Locks, he's on fire, but he comes in Terry McBride season. Tambo says Uncle T.
Uncle T McBride.
I mean, the dude was the best tight end in the country last year in college. You got to get the man's name right, Locks. Come on. But that was freaking funny.
Randone said he'd be his best right-hand man in San Diego if he had him, because he'd have Uncle T down there picking up all the ladies. So it makes sense. Uncle Terry McBride, but go ahead.
Well, you got me rolling. But yeah, Kittle, I think Kittle's one of the easiest people to project in all of football. And like what Randone said makes a ton of sense. If Kittle gets there in a blowout, I think it has to be early. I don't see him really getting there late, but he could get there early. Absolutely. He could score the first 2 touchdowns. It's a great matchup. Arizona can't stop the tight end. And also, without even realizing it, this is one thing I think I do good, like Tambo does too, is listen and kind of learn from other people that you think are sharp. And one thing I've made a lot of money at in these scripts like tonight in Arizona, the showdowns have treated me good, is you could play a Jimmy G captain like Randone was talking about and do it with no receivers. Do it with McCaffrey and Kittle as your guys. Even Elijah Mitchell. That could be your 4 Frisco guys right there. No receivers with a Jimmy G captain. That is so unique. And so many times it could be the winner with the Niners. I know Ayuk has been good, but 7,600 is expensive for him. When they get the ground game going and they get Kittle going in the passing game, I think I know Shanahan as good as any team in the league. I know what he does. When that ground game gets going, when they start smothering you, they just don't really go to these receivers as much. They go to the receivers when they get down. When it's a close game, they go to the receivers. But if you can nail the script, and this is another reason we've shipped a lot of San Fran showdowns, when you hit the script, you're usually going to just win all the money. And yeah, when you're wrong, you're probably going to get zero back or very little back too, which happens to me also. I'll take credit for the wins, but when I guess it wrong, I'm probably going to get zero back as well, which comes with the showdown format. You want to hit the script. And I agree with a lot of what Randone said there. I think Jimmy G, captain, is pretty sharp, but I would not do it like anyone else will do it. I will, if I do Jimmy G captain, I promise you tonight, this is a free show. You're not going to see the prize pool without using Tambo's thing he's going to talk about in a minute, getting on Run Pure. You'll see the game plan. You'll see Tambo's 3 max. You'll see Randone's core. Randone's been posting a bunch of good stuff in the Discord too. You'll see all that if you sign up, but if not, I can promise you anyways, if I play Jimmy G, which I will tonight because I liked what Randone was saying, I will not have Debo. I could still have because he's still more of a running threat and stuff like that. I won't have Ayuk. I won't have any of Jawan Jennings. I won't have any of these receivers in my Jimmy G captain builds. I promise you.
Yeah, I like that. And you're taking my advice too. You're not going all in on CMC anymore. We're adding.
I learned from, believe me, I'm the 3rd hottest person on this panel right here. So I want to learn from the 2 people better than me. So I'm not scared to learn.
Yeah. Talking about looks. Well, I'll take number 2. That's perfect. You just said you're the 3rd hottest guy in this panel. So there you go. Randone always wins
in all
that.
areas.
Number 2. You got number 3. We're all set. We'll take it. Randone, other spots here I was looking at. So we didn't talk a lot about this Arizona side, and I get why, right? We've all talked about the blowout. We've all talked about this. The chat, again, going back to this, is assuming all 5 won. I won't run them all that way. I can promise you that. What I will say, and the reason is because we have a cheap quarterback. We have cheap running back, wide receivers on that other side, Trey McBride, Keontae Ingram at running back backup to as almost like a receiver there to James Conner is a possibility. So you can run a 4-2, no problem, and do it that way. I just think it's interesting where everyone just assumes the auto 5-1. So talk to me about this. So you mentioned you weren't interested in it, but if you did have to make a case for an Arizona wide receiver at the an Arizona player at the captain, doesn't have to be a wide receiver, but an Arizona captain, like talk us through this. Let's just spend a minute on this because could be, I don't know. What can you see over here with the Arizona side? Is there any way you can get there?
Yeah, I think 2 people probably, and that's Rondell Moore and DeAndre Hopkins. I mean, Colt McCoy, I guess we can say the Rams defense is just not what they were last year. So I'm not going to say that this is a strength as far as, did he face a weak defense, but Rams have been pretty weak. However, though, Colt McCoy, he's a veteran, right? He's been a backup quarterback for quite some time, Texas Longhorn. Guy's smart, right? He's a game manager. However, though, obviously he threw to 2 main guys in that game. 19 receptions went towards DeAndre and Rondell Moore. Rondell Moore's actually had a great season, believe it or not, like quietly good season. He's super quick. And, these 2 guys, if you're thinking that, let's just say we talked about like the blowout script narrative, but they just get so much volume because they're down and they're getting so many receptions and they do get the 100-yard mark. There could be that possibility where one of those 2 could be optimal. Absolutely. I don't think that that's not out of the question whatsoever. If I had to pick between the 2, I think Rondell Moore right now populates because of his price point, as a very positive leverage play tonight in the captain. You're looking at maybe 5.5% captain ownership going to him. DeAndre's about double that. So if you're looking for more of the key leverage play, I think Rondell Moore is super fine. We've talked about kind of like his season this year. It's quietly good, right? But what the thing is that he's come on strong, the last like 3 weeks, if I'm not mistaken, but he got 13 targets last week, 13 targets. I got to tell you, at his price point of 6,600, getting that amount of volume, it's kind of hard to say no. So, I mean, fitting him in and just being that one Arizona Cardinal that I do like, he's probably the one that I would be in favor more than Hopkins. And clearly, as you can tell, there's chemistry there. And typically, you always got to go with that backup quarterback. They find someone that they like. And that clearly is Rondell Moore. And then obviously, DeAndre Hopkins is just DeAndre Hopkins.
Yeah. It's quite the discount too. When you look at it, like people in the chat are talking about one less target, like he's still getting the work. DeAndre Hopkins coming back from a small injury. It's good to go. I don't think any issues whatsoever, but Big T, I'll pose the same question to you just around these Arizona captains. I mean, we get it. You were so far on the other side. It's tough to get there. Some people out there maybe want to go this route. If you could see yourself going there, if you were thinking through it like they might be, what could you see yourself doing in this captain with these Arizona guys?
Yeah, I'm not going to go captain, but if I just unrealistically, if I was going to, I think I'd play Colt McCoy captain with the same move I've used in other slates where I've done Dalton, I've done Jacoby. I'd go right back to that move and play Colt McCoy with 2 pass catchers. I think there is path to victory doing that. I mean, Hop, just the same 2 guys that Randone talked about. Because I think for that to be the winner, they're going to need to score some points. And that's how I see it happening. Colt McCoy's a veteran. I could at least make a case for him and the captain with 2 pass catchers. Even like my issue with Rondell and Hop's still going to be like the second highest owned captain. So that just eliminates him from me. I don't want to play a 15% owned Hopkins in the captain or something like that. That's crazy to me. That just feels like a terrible play. Rondell, I could sell myself on him more. For one, you got a nice price break. He's in that Kittle price range. He catches a ton of dump offs. I could at least make a case for him. But for me, first of all, I'm not going to. I want everyone to understand that.
Yeah.
Because I think they get mauled. But if I was, it would be a Colt McCoy with 2 pass catchers route. And I think you could put Connor in the pass catchers route just because of the dump offs he could catch.
I actually have an interest in Connor tonight. Just again, a way to flip the script or just a way to look at it.
My issue is just that I say it every San Fran. They're just by far number 1 against the running back position. It just.
You're right. You're going to have to hope for those dump offs. You're going to have to hope he gets to the target pickup a little bit and finds those options. Maybe with McCoy, we see a little bit of that because that's kind of how you can get after him is you're not running into that wall and getting anywhere. It's bricks. So you're not doing that. And James Conner can get there. And when they get up there, you never know up near the end zone.
He could definitely vulture. And I've been getting full disclosure. I've been getting vultured the last 2 weeks like crazy. So.
Yeah, I agree. And also too, just keep in mind, we'll talk a little FanDuel at the end as always, but definitely makes more sense on FanDuel. Touchdown dependent. He can definitely get a touchdown one way or the other. Who knows how it shakes out, maybe a couple. So it's just the way the game or the slate works out. But I do think this too, even if you are going 5-1 or, someone said in the chat, my reasoning for a 5-1 is because 90% of the people tonight are going on a 4-2. Well, I don't think 90% are playing a 4-2 first off, but second off, even if they are, or that or worse, or whatever you want to call it, it's not guaranteed that they're running it back with Rondale Moore and a kicker. There's all kinds of Trey McBride, Keontae Ingram, DeAndre Hopkins, because you can afford it. If you go with a cheaper San Fran captain, you'd be able to still get guys in, or if you're fading McCaffrey and using Eli Mitchell, you can open it up and get Hopkins on the other side. So there's lots of different ways, but I at least have some interest in that. I will be very, very underweight. This is the one I agree with you on heavy, if not off completely. I haven't done all my stuff yet. I know I have a couple hand builds in there, but DeAndre Hopkins, I'm not doing that. I'll just play more, or maybe the running back like Connor, the McCoy call that you made. Those would be the guys I would have interest in on that side and just build your lineups a little bit different while still jamming in all the guys we're talking about, but you're getting there in a different way. And because you get the savings on that side, look, I don't think they're getting steamrolled here 31-0. That's just me. I just, again, what everybody else sees here, that's up to them. I think they can put up 14 points in this game. And so to me, that might be enough. We saw it recently with the Philly and Houston game. That reminds me of this a little bit because Philly still smashed them, but Houston put up, I believe, 17 points. And because Davis Mills, Dameon Pierce, and who was it? Chris Moore, I think it was. That was the 3 that I had. I know because I shipped that night and I was excited about it. This is like Colt McCoy is Davis Mills.
Imagine you shipping again. I mean, imagine that.
If they want to give me the same slate almost in my head, neutral zone, neutral spot, you can get Davis Mills is Colt McCoy. Dameon Pierce is James Conner, and Chris Moore is Rondale Moore. You can find the money with someone else. There's guys down there. So to me, I think there's an opportunity here to see something crazy, a 4-2 or a 3-3 that leads towards it, not just the 5-1.
You kind of are showing why the dude in chat, like everyone's going to play 5-1, 4-2 type thing. You just explained why the number 1 build is almost always 3-3. Like when you run the optimizer, just because so many people get there where, I mean, tonight I would say I need to pull up the little chart I usually look at on ETR, but if I had to guess off the top of my head, it would be like 35% 3-3 and like 30 to 35% 4-2. So you're talking like 70% of the ownership between 3-3 and 4-2 San Fran side.
Yeah, it's 40, 50, almost 80, just over 80% is 3. But again, 40% of it is pretty close to 3-3. So it's an example of where people are going. So as I said, I'll have 5-1s. I just can't guarantee.
It's hard for 5-1s to get
really
there is what people don't realize. Like even if the score is 38-6. It's still tough for only one or two guys to not end up in the winner from one side. It's hard. And trust me, if you guys have had a sweat, which I'm sure people watching have, when you get in that fourth quarter, it's hard to only have one guy from the other team. It really is.
Yeah, I agree. Randone, any extra thoughts on that? I mean, again, that's what I was trying to prove is that 5-1 looks tasty when you think about them blowing them out. It's what people first think of. But because Arizona has the cheap options, it's very easy that you could see a 4-2, 3-3 get there, even though they're popular builds. It's just how you build them. Like Big T said, you could build 4 San Fran, 2 Arizona, but it's a Garoppolo captain with no wide receivers. You can use Kittle as a pass catcher, but then you have a running back and a kicker or something like that. So go ahead, Randone, chime in. Any final thoughts here at the captain slot?
Yeah, I mean, the 5-1's difficult, like Big T said. You need everything to go to that one person to be the highest scorer on one side. And then on the contrary, you need the ball to be spread around to, multiple people on the other side. But more importantly, it's got to fit the exact game script for that to happen. And that's kind of hard, especially now in the NFL, as we've seen, it's a lot more slower. The pace has dropped significantly. And so it doesn't give as much opportunity as maybe saw in recent years. So I do think like the 3-3 tonight could be somewhat interesting, especially if you're running Rondo Moore and you're running DeAndre Hopkins. I mean, these guys are just getting so much volume. Then if you add in James Conner, okay, now you have 3 guys that are kind of vacuuming all the volume on one side, and then you figure out how you think, Shanahan's going to run this offense on the other side. So, and that could be a variety of different ways. It could be the defense and just the 2 running backs, right? It could be Garoppolo and McCaffrey, and then maybe, someone, maybe Elijah Mitchell if you want. There's just a lot that you can do in a 3-3 that, kind of gives you a little bit of a different variance compared to what people might automatically think tonight. All right, blowout, which we have said, very possibility. Has it happened yet? Not necessarily. But the 5-1, if that's what people are going to go towards tonight, then what you want to do, you want to switch it up. You want to go with the 3. I think it's just like the other night, right? The Titans game, right? There was a lot of missed opportunity there for Austin Hooper, for Hilliard, for even guys like, I was so against Robert Woods, and I'm punching air, excuse me for my language, punching air, because he was in the optimal lineup, believe it or not. Of course he was. Guy's been trash all season, and his ownership was actually significantly less than what was projected to be. It was like 14%, 15%. He was projected to be like 32% owned. At that point, you have to figure out the leverage behind that, because if they are down and then they're having to pass, which that wasn't the case, though, they ended up throwing the ball a shit ton, even when they were already up. And so it's just figuring out these types of game scripts is how you want to really decide and dictate how you want to lineup construct 3-3, 4-2, 5-1. But in tonight's, given situation, I think regardless, 2 or 3 Arizona Cardinals, I think, you should have in this construction. I do, just because where the volume's going to go. It's easy to say, okay, looking at their snap counts, looking at their route runs, guys like Dortch, guys like Robbie Anderson, Steven Anderson, I can say, okay, I'm not interested in, right? And then you could say, okay, well, maybe Trey McBride, because, this guy, one of the fastest tight ends to come out of the draft in 2022, Colorado State alumni. He was kind of compared to Kakonwu or whatever from the Titans. Another 6'3", fast little tight end, versatile. So, he's not Greg Dulcich, but he's somewhat decent. But he only got one target last week. So, however, though, he did play 91% of the snaps. And at that point, for 1K, it would be very interesting to completely fade him when maybe there is the possibility that he finally gets some run tonight and passes go his way. And if that's the case, well, then, okay, how does that lineup construction look like? Because I just don't know if going like a 4-2 on the Cardinal side is optimal. But then again, it's like, man, you got this guy at 1K. It's hard to ignore 91% of the snaps that he's going to be on the field. All it takes is a little bit of something to happen, especially if you're top heavy in the 49ers. So I think, if you're playing 20 lineups, 150 lineups tonight, be cognizant and maybe realize that there are some different scenarios here that you can be working with, and make sure you can cover all angles. Because I feel like, the last 2 slates didn't really cover those types of angles in some scenarios. And I was just so locked in and heavy on one situation. And I think that kind of bit me in the ass.
Yeah, and again, last thing someone in the chat mentioned, but like a 5-1, you needed almost like the Dallas-Minnesota game yesterday, where
that would have been a 5-1 for
they
sure.
both have very expensive pieces that many are mixing them, but when you got Pollard and the captain, Maher kicking those field goals, Dak coming through with the passes to him, then you've got Gallup did just enough and the Dallas D smashed. Those five combination with whatever my Minnesota guy works, and Jefferson fails at expensive price, Thielen fails, Cousins fails, all these guys fail. That's when you want to attack a 5-1. When the pieces are just this cheap and we still have a condensed enough offense, it's very rare that it comes through. So you need the perfect storm, and you don't always get that. Big T, where do you want to go next on this slate, man? I know you guys normally do it, but we talked about the captains. It relayed a lot of what we like at these positions. Do you want to talk a little bit more at running back about this situation with James Conner, Eli Mitchell, Keontae Ingram, McCaffrey, and then, of course, you got Juice. And I don't know if they'll bring up, Arizona did sign Corey Clement. Just not sure if they'll be bringing him up yet tonight. We'll see that in the final update. But any thoughts here at the running back position?
God, annoyed that US just gave him a PK. 10 minutes.
No.
Freaking
Is it
bailed.
1-0?
Yeah, well, it was 1-0, but the US got the PK, so Bale's kicking the PK right now. Super annoying. But the funny thing about what Randone was saying is I actually think that build, just from playing with these optimizers, I think the 4-2 Arizona build might end up chalk. As crazy as that sounds.
That's crazy.
Just
That's
running
crazy.
these numbers and stuff, like the volume, you basically described why it's going to be chalk without realizing it, though. The pure volume of these guys, Hopkins, Rondale, Connor, on top of the 1K price point from Trey McBride, fits perfect with McCaffrey and one other San Fran guy. Like, I wouldn't be shocked at all. Freaking guy made the PK too. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised at all if it ends up chalky. I really wouldn't, which makes even more value, I think, in just jamming the Niners because we haven't seen it. But
I agree there, because I thought you were saying the whole way I was talking about, so everyone's clear, was 4-2 San Fran and like get your 2 Arizona pieces in because they can get there. I definitely don't have as much interest in a 4-2 Arizona with the way it's shaking out.
The top couple builds that I'm seeing, just running neutral numbers and different things, pop 4-2 Arizona side with those 4 guys, because you got the 3 volume guys plus the value, and then you get McCaffrey. Plus, I really think that's going to end up being the chalk build. I do.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I mean, believe it or not, you have like 4 of the top 7 guys in tonight's game are projected from the Arizona side.
Yeah.
So
it's just because of volume. You basically described it perfectly. It's just pure volume. Whereas the San Fran side, way more unknowns. Even McCaffrey is a little bit more of an unknown, just because we saw last week, Mitchell, every other series, Mitchell was in there and he got a lot of the closing work. So the Arizona side is more certain as far as that. But the best part about showdowns, we're not looking as much for certainty. We want to take a path. And when Arizona just gets shut down and scores 6 points tonight and the defense just smothers them, that volume's not going to be an issue. And San Fran can hold the ball forever too. When they get this ground game going, short dump offs, they're going to have 8-9 minute drives where Arizona just doesn't have the ball. Try to picture that in your script. 9-minute drive, touchdown, 3 and out, punt it back to them. Another 8-9 minute drive. Like, San Fran can smother teams like other teams just can't do when they get that pass rush going and stuff. Now, back to Tambo's original question, kind of as we work down, I mean, when you're in altitude, you got kickers like our boy Gold that has always been a good kicker. At altitude, I can only, even him at 73 years old, should be able to kick this thing well into the 50s. I mean, he doesn't have as strong a leg as he used to, but Prater, too, has always been a pretty good kicker. I think kickers, I've been off of them a little bit lately, but I love kickers at altitude, so they're going to be back in there. Obviously, the Niners in the build, I think they're in there, but Randone brought it up too. The Cardinals D, it's kind of been their move ever since Whistles came on that one show, but I always like the defense in there, especially in like 4-2 builds where you got, say you got one volume guy, whichever one of the 3 pieces you can fit, one of the 3 volumes, and then the Cardinals D, you just don't. Jimmy G, how many times have we seen this dude do a dumbass play, that goes to the house the other way. There's some quarterbacks that you should play the defense against every single time. Jimmy G is one of them. Jimmy G, freaking Dalton, Kirk Cousins in prime time, Jameis Winston. I mean, there's a lot of guys that you want the D against. So I agree with that. Some of the cheaper, I mean, like AJ Green at 4,800, Robbie Anderson, just zero chance on playing those guys. If they score, even Jawan Jennings for that matter, like I am just not using those price. How could you play those guys over a kicker? I can't. I know I can't. I cannot play those guys. So when they score tonight, you're going to see the optimizer people. There's a ton of optimizer people out there now that are really good. We've talked about it on a ton of these showdown shows. All of them, Whistles and Brick, and I can go down the list. All of the sim people will win because they'll have their shares of AJ Green and Robbie Anderson, and they'll have their shares of these guys. But that's kind of where we're different. We're going to take a few more stands than them in spots. And when they don't score and when the kickers get 14 tonight, we're probably going to ship and we're going to be in good shape. So I'm going to fade a lot of even Keontae Ingram. 2,600 is different than 1,000 or 200, or I don't really like him all that much either. I think he's got a high likelihood of finishing with like 3 fantasy points or less, which just isn't going to get it done. I'm trying to look at some of these other cheapies. I just don't see why you would play any cheapie over Trey McBride. And granted, he's going to get ownership, but the dude is a stud, and he's 1K, and he's still not going to be more than, I mean, I don't know, what, 25%? These value guys never get as high as we think. Even Cobb looked like the easiest play of all time in that showdown a week ago or whenever it was. He didn't even get that high compared to what I thought he should be. So, I don't know. I'm fading a lot of these cheapies. I'll play the volume guys at the top. I'll jam San Fran and the kickers. I'll take the kickers again over all these cheaper guys in that range.
Yeah, even if McBride gets to 30%, I don't think it's necessarily horrible with that price tag.
He's such a good play.
Like,
I haven't taken a stand on a cheapie in a while like this. I think he's just a jam in there type.
Yeah. Now, flip side of it, and Randon, I'll let you give an overview of some of these other spots and things you're seeing in the flex. But one other thing would be that when you play him in the flex, it obviously makes it very easy to get to McCaffrey up top. Again, Big T, you have a lot of interest in that. I'm saying if you want to cap that, then and have McBride with some other stuff, you'll have that money left over, and that's never a bad thing in showdown anyway. So I got no problem with it and just setting it up that way. I just don't want to get all McCaffrey McBride lineups, because even if it ends up being optimal, so be it. I'll have enough shares of it, but I don't want to commit fully to that because I definitely think there could be some other captains like we talked about earlier. Randon, I'll let you have some other thoughts here on the rest of these flex spots, just kickers, Ds, some of these wide receivers, things you're seeing at tight end, anything you want to chime in on in the flex spot.
Yeah, I think Big C made a great point about the elevation. This is, a couple thousand feet even higher in elevation than compared to Mile High Stadium in Denver. So, you have to take kickers in here to consideration, regardless if they're a little bit older in age and they don't have as much leg as they used to. I'm totally fine with the kickers.
Us old guys can still get it done in there, though. You're going to see it, Mark.
Yeah, of course. No, they could definitely get it in, but we want to make sure that they're in good spots. And right now,
old guys can definitely still get it in. Don't you worry about that.
Oh yeah.
Oh man, you make me lose my train of thought. But I will say, Big T makes a good point. I think tonight, I don't think I want to waste 3,000 on Greg Dortch, 4,000 on Robbie Anderson, 2,200 on Ray McLeod. I think these guys are just not in the mix enough to give us the opportunity to see them in the optimal. I truly don't. And if they do, then so be it. But I have to take a stand somewhere. And so I think paying different pieces for 200 Corey Clement, 200 Tyler Kroft, 400 tight end Ross Dwelly, it's just not worth it to me, man. Especially with the volume that we talked about the Cardinal side, and for me, it just doesn't make sense. I just don't see them being in an optimal spot. But I will say, I think from what I'm seeing, Eli Mitchell is very interesting. 5,800, we talked about it a little bit earlier, being in the elevation. McCaffrey could get easily tired, especially, being in this spot. And if it's a Shanahan style offense tonight where, one game theory is they're just running, and Big T said it perfect, 9-minute drive, defense is exhausted. They come out, they 3 and out, They give it back. Defense is exhausted even more. What are they going to do? They're just going to run it down their throats. They're going to move the chains, and that's going to come at a little backfield by committee. And I think what's interesting is no one wants to pay $5,800 for Eli Mitchell, but if he gets to 18, 20 carries again at that price point, we talked about volume on the Cardinal side. This is the volume on the 49ers side now. And if it fits the game script, halftime, they're already up a bunch. They're just going to run and make it safe and take the workload off of McCaffrey too in the second half, because as we get closer now to playoffs, that's what takes place when you're in blowouts. Eli Mitchell gets the run. Eli Mitchell projected to be 13, 14% owned. Huge situation to take advantage of. If that does in fact happen, and I got to tell you, if he's going to touch the ball at 5,800, people don't want to touch him. I think Eli Mitchell is someone that we really need to consider here.
Yeah, I think so too. And hopefully, again, the sentiment to me, Randone, at least from what I've seen a few times in the chat, some earlier today, and we did the Monday review show on this channel, is that he's too expensive. He was 200. Now he's this. I actually don't know if he's the right price. If he's getting that load of volume, it's going to be this spot. We think they're going to just pound it all day. That's a fair price for what we're getting. Of course, we're not getting $200 again. The guy had 50% of the carries and almost a touchdown at the end, just crushed. I expect him to be this price. I have no problem with it. I think that's definitely interesting. Before we talk more, Big T, I'm going to insert right now. I'm going to go with it because we do have a new promo code. We just had somebody in the chat ask about our shows this week. So we do have a special Thanksgiving week with a bunch of extra shows. Going to have a Wednesday show. Going to have the Print Factory moved up to a Wednesday special edition, a free show Wednesday with everyone talking about the 3 gamers. So it's going to be a good week at Run Pure. A lot of people have been waiting. Like I said, I know Big T, you have to hear me out. We do no ads throughout the season. We don't run ads. You got to click through and skip them. I'm going to lay it out right quick for you. We get a ton of DMs. We get a ton of people asking, where's the code? We have our executive team showing where people are looking it up on Google for an RPS code. We don't do a lot, and here's why. We're already too cheap. We've already got the best stuff out there. We're already all sports one price. So I thought of the best analogy. Big T makes fun of me for looking in front of the mirror, coming up with stuff. I got one for you. I got two actually, quick ones. Here's the thing. Everybody knows you want to get in shape. We're talking about get your money in shape, but you want to get in shape, you buy a gym membership. What happens? You spend for the monthly membership. You get 1 month so you can just try it out. You go to the gym. You see all these machines. You're not sure about it. You see all these people working out, all different levels that they're at. You're not sure what to do. So what often happens is people stop going to the gym, or they say, oh, I see you needed a personal trainer. Oh, I see you needed to buy these classes extra. I see you needed to do all these things to get your body in shape. It's no different in DFS to get your money in shape. You come to Run Pure Sports. It's all sports, one price. Yeah, you have to figure out how to use the machines and get on and work out. That's in the Discord. You have a community of like-minded individuals helping you out in there, guide you through the stuff. Oh, you need a personal trainer? It's not extra. You tag coordinators in the Discord. You get access to everybody in there. Big T, myself, Randone's in there, everybody. We're just talking about who's on the show, but you have access right away to all of that. There is no extra classes. If we do an extra show, you get it for free. If we have a new sport come out, you get it for free. You're not happy with this machine today? You don't want to do cardio right now? You want to hop over and do some working out? You can go from golf to soccer because it's 100K up top today and play World Cup. So all that to say, it's the best place to be. You get all of it for one simple low price, and you don't have to have all the extras come in. You get in for 1 month, you get the help. And if you say, hey, Tambo, stop talking about working out, man. I like to eat. I'm a big boy. I want to go and get something to eat. Well, then I know as good as an a la carte restaurant can be, you don't want to pay $9 for the cheddar add-on or the mac and cheese or the potatoes extra this. Go to the all-you-can-eat buffet. Only at this all-you-can-eat buffet, you got Big T's player pool, the Wagyu beef. Put a little bit of that on your plate. You go over and get my cores and Slate Attack Plan, little Kobe beef. Throw that on. JSU, crab legs. Throw them on your plate. It's all-you-can-eat buffet. All you can do for one price. Hop in now. Turkey 50 is the code. We're running it for 1 week only. It's the only code you'll see for the rest of the year. It's that simple. I'll end the rant, but everybody asked for the code. We thought about it. You got it. It's 50% off your monthly package. If you want to check it out, that's cheaper than 2 weeks. Usually costs $50 for a month of DFS, all access, Discord, see the machines in my analogy of what we've got to offer. Check it out. Get in. You'll love it. Now's the time. Turkey 50, runpuresports.com. Big T, how'd I do, man? I came up with that one just for you.
I mean, the chat is loving it. They said, is this taped or live? I mean, they can't believe you did that in one stretch, one take. I mean, Randone's done a ton of live television. wasn't it? I mean, it was impressive. See, wasn't he just rattled that off like it was not? Do you think he practiced in front of the mirror, or was it just first take?
Sometimes it's better to just go in, no practice, right off the hip. And because then you just start getting in your head at that point. You start trying to be perfect and things like that. So Tambo crushed it, but are we surprised? This guy's a freaking stud in a lot of things that he does. So, we just got to follow the winners, man. That's really what it comes down to. So, great minds, the whole RPS team, I think we talked about this before, but we've been in these streets for quite some time now, man. And when you look at kind of how RPS does things, their personable approach, how they really cater to every single one in the community, you don't really get that much anywhere else, bro. So make sure you understand people have a vested interest in wanting you to succeed. And when you see all these people putting in time to help you guys, they're doing it for a reason. They want to see people succeed in this industry.
Yeah, only one hater in the chat. Mango wanted it to be faster, but Mango knows what it is. He's a host as well. He's going to have to be able to beat that. So I look forward to your next show, Mangone, to see you bust out the analogy in a quicker fashion. But I'm excited. It's a great time to get in.
We got Eli Mitchell in the chat, Tambo. Eli Mitchell's chiming in. He's before the big game tonight.
You gonna have a good game tonight or what? We think you might. So we're interested. That's something we might be interested in. But let's get back to it.
How does he ask a question about himself, though? He's asking a question about himself. Does he want us to kind of like when you're in college or something and you don't know what the line is? You look the line up. You're like, man, how are we an underdog tonight before you go play? I mean, Eli Mitchell, you're the one in the game. Let us know how you're going to do tonight.
Yeah, that's good. I like it. Let us know, Eli, in the chat. Big T, back to you. Anything else you want to talk about on the DraftKings side of things before we round it up with a FanDuel, of course, but I just mean in general, we talked a lot of these positions, but instead of just this guy, that guy, I think we did a better job looking at it from a game theory perspective, actual roster construction, things that can help the people make those ideas. I know we saw Trevor Bryan in the chat earlier, our guy at Homebrew. He had it last time that Randone was on. He said, Randone said Kenyon Drake captain on the way out. So I built one of those and he shipped and turned $90 into $500K. So definitely something to think about.
Been hot on these shows for sure. His takes have been good. I've enjoyed them. I don't just say stuff like that either. He's been very good on these shows. I've loved having him on.
Yeah. Anything else you want to add there?
I think we've covered the DK side perfectly.
Yeah.
Like always on FanDuel, everything's going to play somewhat similarly, like we always talk about. I like to just look at the pricing just to see what's what. Trey McBride, $7K on FanDuel. So you get the cheap price there as well. Seeing if there's anything else that totally sticks out. The pricing looks pretty good to me. Eli Mitchell, 8,500 on FanDuel. I mean, that is a very, very good play. And again, I don't think he gets as much work as last week or last game, whenever it was. He got a ton of work, but he doesn't need that much work to get to the winning lineup is all that matters. Last week, he smashed. You don't need him to get that much work to do it. So I still like him. I mean, the Niners D and Robbie Gould, 9,500 and 9K, Kittle, 10K. You got a lot of affordable pieces on FanDuel, which makes me want to jam McCaffrey even more, which everyone will. I mean, that will make him higher owned, but still, on FanDuel, sometimes I like to get creative and play different MVPs just because when they do hit, when you play I could play a Mitchell MVP on FanDuel though, where people don't do that often. And if we get the same script as last week where they split time, maybe Mitchell just houses two of them. He's in the winner. I could see that, but I'm definitely going run heavy on FanDuel, I think. And you don't need to get that creative with these prices. Leave salary, do what you need to do. But I think FanDuel is pretty cut and dry tonight.
FanDuel seems super cheap when I looked at it first glance, at least. Everybody is cheap, feels extra cheap where you can just build anything you want.
Except for Hop. Hop doesn't feel cheap to me.
Yeah. I meant, sorry, I guess the better way to put it is every lineup looks easy. You can get a good lineup, no problem, super soft. So maybe you do want to leave 500 minimum, if not 1,000 on the table and just hope to get there. It's almost always 25. When we see the unique or the more unique shippers on FanDuel, it's going to be 2,500, $2,000 left on the table. Tonight seems like a perfect night for that. Just how I see it shaking out. If you have some super low owned player strategy for your build, it's no problem to fill it out a little bit more, but I definitely see that. Someone else, our guy, Steven Neighbors said he's seeing 60% CMC on the crunches he's doing on DK. That's why he's going to be 25, 30%. There's just too many affordable options. He's 20 to 30%. It's a big range, but it's going to be somewhere around that. Randone, did you have anything else you want to add here? If not, add some FanDuel. Anything else you want to talk about for this slate?
No, I think with FanDuel, it's pretty cut and dry. I think, I think game script dependent, you could really construct some interesting lineups. I do like going the heavy run attack of 49ers and then bringing it back with 2 pass catches on the flip side for Arizona. So I'm just flirting around with that. But yeah, I mean, going back to just the DK for a second, I think it is also interesting when looking at tonight's slate. Is there a possibility of not rostering guys like Deebo Samuel? And I say this because it's changed for him within the offense with the addition of CMC. And obviously, with that, Ayuk's a better pass catcher than Deebo. Deebo has the more, blazing speed, but I think it's pretty apparent when it comes to the overall playmaking ability with the hands. I think Ayuk is superior. And so it's just interesting looking at the last 2 games, for Deebo and just kind of the volume, but also like last week, I think it was a telltale sign kind of the direction of this offense. And as we all know, Shanahan is a run heavy guy, man, and he doesn't want to put Jimmy G in spots where there's risks. And also he wants him to just control the game and be a game manager. And with that comes heavy running. And so tonight, I'm just really interested to see how they handle the high altitude. What does this running game look like? And, Eli Mitchell, I go back to him once again because he came back off the injured reserve last week. He gets 18 carries. Like, you don't normally see that, especially when you got a guy like McCaffrey in the mix as well, who's a way better running back than him. So very interesting. And I think I really hope to see maybe some low ownership tonight into Eli Mitchell and see how we can construct some game theories that fit Shanahan's play calling.
Yeah, I like that for sure. That's a good call out too. Again, not as many might look at it from that angle. So just gave away a membership too, by the way. Our guy Trevor Bryan in the chat that we just talked about, Homebrew, gave a free month out. Steven is always in chat, good mojo. But I did say, make sure, Steven, let him know where he can find you, because otherwise everyone's going to be hitting up Trevor saying they are Steven trying to get the free membership off you. So the way to do it is get Steven to let you know where he can find you, where you can send him or do whatever. And then you can send to him that way. Cause I've seen this happen, done plenty of giveaways in my time. And it's sometimes a mess when you do that. Big T, I don't know if anything else you want to add, man. We talked about it. We hit on some FanDuel. We hit on the rest of the slate. A lot of great things. It's going to be a fun one tonight. Anything else that you want to add before we get out of here?
No, love doing it. Like I said, I think we're on the right track tonight. We're all on a similar page. And like always, tons of content up at Run Pure. Sambo's 3 Max. Mangone's got stuff up. JSU's got stuff up. Everyone. Randone's been posting very useful stuff. I actually love that sheet Randone's been posting in the Discord. We need to find a way to get that up on the site too, because that thing's awesome. I love how he always talks about the leverage, where sometimes it's even shocking to me to see, like, I think I know where the good leverage plays are, but the chart he posts is very useful, especially in Showdown, even more so than full slate, because some spots like McCaffrey, like Randone said to start the show, you might not think you get leverage with a play like that, but sometimes you can still get leverage if you're playing him 70%, like Tambo said, and even if he's 30, if you're playing him 70 and he's more likely than not to hit the winner, sometimes that's still a good play. Sometimes it's cheaper plays that are the leverage plays. You just never know. I think that chart he posts is very useful. So if you're in the Discord, make sure you check out that when he posted in there. I think we're on the right track. I think we finally get a blowout tonight. I'm calling it. I think it's going to be a huge night for Run Pure tonight. I think we're all over it. Honestly, as we were doing too, I was kind of being like Tambo, taking notes. One rule that I think I can make, instead of just setting like clear 5, and I should be putting this premium too, but I like giving stuff for free here and there. This is a really good rule. And some of the best Showdown hits I've had have been because of rules that kind of put me in lanes that other people aren't in. I think a good rule tonight, it won't make you set 4-2, 5-1. You don't have to do any of that. Max 1 of the 3 volume guys from Arizona. It'll put you in a path that not many people are in, and I really like it. I feel good about it. I don't think there's enough volume for all 3 of them to get there, and by only playing 1, it's going to make me unique, because almost every team I see on these things are getting 2 of those 3 guys in their build. So that's going to be a rule. I'm almost positive. Maybe not all 150 of my 150, but a good majority, I'm going to use that rule. Max 1 volume Arizona guy. And that doesn't include Colt McCoy. You can play McCoy with one of the
guys,
3 volume
not
guys.
everyone will know who you're talking about, but go ahead. Just hit the 3.
Yeah, I mean, the 3 volume guys, just if you haven't watched the whole show, Hopkins, Connor, Rondell Moore, one of those 3.
Yeah, and the chat asked too about playing CMC and Mitchell together. Of course, in blow.
I love that.
That's definitely fine. They're way different in the price tag for a reason, but you could have Mitchell captain, CMC.
And when they get that ground game going, man, we've seen it for years and years and years. So many San Fran showdowns ship with 2 running backs.
Yeah, one. I thought you were going to say this actually, and I'll go to you in sec, Randome, for final thoughts. But I thought you were going to say CMC and Debo at most 1 because it's almost like
I also like that rule, so that's another one because the only thing I don't like about that rule is just a total blowout where if you think they just totally pound them, because if it's like a game like Dallas where some of those guys didn't get there, that was a good example of a game that would have been 5-1, I think. I could see like Debo getting like 10 or something and being in the winner in a blowout. So if you think it's a blowout, I'd be a little cautious, but any normal script, if you think this game's remotely close, I think that's a great rule.
Yeah, it just makes sense. And Rando, and you talked a little about that too, how it's like you could see maybe you just go lower on him or whatever it might be there. But any final thoughts from you? Any rules? Anything else you want to add before we get out of here?
Yeah, no, I think we kind of covered everything. I think just be cognizant tonight of different situations and also know that, you know, just because McCaffrey's high owned doesn't mean that he still doesn't provide positive upside and a positive leverage play and captain. I think we saw that the other night with Derrick Henry, right, where we knew that he was in a great spot, a great situation. And to be honest with you, he didn't win the optimal, but he was the optimal lineup. It just wasn't constructed, believe it or not, when it came to Henry the other night or last week or whatever. So tonight, though, there's quite a few players that I think, really project out to be positive leverage. It'll be in Discord later. We'll definitely break that down. But I think, just one last thing to add is you don't need to play guys tonight. And, don't waste lineups on guys that just don't need to be rostered. There's going to be ownership going to these guys. And I'm talking about the cheaper guys specifically, but they just don't provide the upside that's needed, in my opinion, to really ship tonight. And I think you can get still very different. And there's a lot of variance given the fact of the volume on both sides that maybe people aren't paying attention to. So yeah, good luck to everyone tonight. Let's see what happens.
We can't get off though. You give us our winner like every week. You always give the play that ships. I mean, you want to do 500K. We need a play.
The thing is this is, I'm a little bit shaken from my Robert Woods.
The thing is, you got to get off the carpet and get back in the winner's circle.
Yeah.
Well,
so
I got destroyed yesterday. I need a random winner to leave this show with.
God, dude. Yeah. Yesterday I got destroyed too. Here we go. My winner tonight though, is Eli Mitchell. I love tonight. I think we have to factor in the elevation. The defense is going to be exhausted. Shanahan is a run-minded coach. He's going to have plays. If he wanted his guy in there for 18 carries last week, I can only imagine that he's going to have, similar volume tonight. I don't think why not, especially if they're up and winning. McCaffrey's going to be in a situation where he doesn't have to be worked out so much throughout this game. I love the game script call. I don't mind pairing him with McCaffrey either. I think Eli Mitchell is a guy, low ownership. Make sure you fit him somehow in some way in some lineups.
Yeah, I like it. Is that satisfactory for you, Big T? You got your winner, Eli Mitchell?
Yeah, I got my winner. I'm happy.
The good mojo. We had Eli Mitchell in the chat too, so it does make sense. It only makes sense to have it. And
I'm a little concerned that he's watching the show right now instead of getting ready to play, though. I'm a little worried about that.
Calvin Ridley in the chat looking to make some bets tonight. Shit. Maybe, I don't know. Right? Trying to get in on some action, but I don't know. It's going to be a good slate. It's going to be fun. Big T mentioned we got all the stuff over at Run Pure Sports. His player pool will be up full out. Randone will be posting in the Discord. I will have the attack plan up, our normal playbook. My guy, Karen Mangone, he'll have his 3 max up. I still love you, Mangone. He'll have it up while he works on his promo for the next live show. We've got him on, but I appreciate all of you. If you haven't done so, go to Run Pure Sports. Use the promo code TURKEY50, get 50% off your first month. Check it out. Win with us or watch us win. That's going to do it for this week. For Randone, for Big T, for Simon behind the scenes, I'm Toe Tag and Tambo. Simon, get us out of here, man.